Hello everyone! Today I'm going to share with you my top 5 favorite powders, and I will have more recommendations for normal to combination skin and oily skin on my blog, thereviewer.com. So if you don't have normal to dry skin like I do, please swing by my blog for more tried and true products. But let's get back on track with my favorite powder of the moment, which is actually the Guerlain Holiday Meteorite Special Edition. This is truly one of the most beautiful powders I've ever laid eyes on. But not only that, it actually performs well. It has a twist-off lid, which is very rare. The white puff has a bronze-colored bow. And as you can see from inside, the bottom half of the sphere are little star shapes as well as pearls. I'm wearing it just along the tops of the cheeks today for a little extra glow. But beyond the beautiful and highly collectible packaging, I think it's the formula that makes this a classic product. And especially if you take a lot of photos, if you're on video like me, it makes the skin look airbrushed. It's not very heavy, it does control oil, and this one I used again more like a highlighter because on the rest of my face I used the Meteorites Compact, and this is a fairly new product. It launched sometime last year, and I'm going to talk to you more about this in a little bit, but I do think that the loose version is great for everyday use. It's nice and light, you can customize it and use it as all over face powder or as a highlighter. I pulled 3 Meteorites editions from my collection. So this is from last year and it comes in a silver tin. As you can see, there's no bow on this sponge, but it holds the classic collection of pearls. There are lavender pearls, mint colored pearls, and these are basically to color correct and give you the most flawless, beautiful skin possible. I think this is one of the favorites because it brightens and it looks beautiful on everyone's skin. Now this is from last holiday. It has a beautiful red bow. You have light pink, you have bronzy, you have golden. So this works really well as an all-over powder for me, especially if I'm wearing a foundation that's too pink. You can color correct and set your foundation with this. Now this is from 2 or 3 years ago. I love the black packaging and it's very unique. I like this one because it has a lot of lavender and pink pearls. This one works really well as a blush or a blush topper. Now for oily skin, I would recommend that you try the compact because I think that there's a little bit more oil control, and now it looks more like the Guerlain bronzer blushes, but before they used to be all skin toned. I actually like this color corrective pattern because I do think that it looks visually more stunning, more attractive, but I actually do find that it helps with color correcting on the face. So the thing about the Guerlain powders is that they're really subtle. When I first started using them, I didn't understand the hype, but then when I saw my face on camera, my complexion just looked smoother. It gave me a soft focus effect and I was hooked. Powder is one of my favorite makeup products, as many of you who have watched me for years will know, but because of my normal to dry skin, I try not to wear as much powder. I find that the Guerlain is one of the few that I can use all over the face, and it actually does help my foundation last longer throughout the day. For a while I was using the La Mer loose powder a lot, but I found that even though it gives a beautiful soft focus effect like the Guerlain powders, it just didn't last as long on the skin. Now the difference between the loose and the pressed is, number one, portability, because this one definitely can be tossed into a handbag or travel bag. But what makes the biggest difference is what brush you use for the application of either the pearls or the pressed. Now with the pressed, I tend to use a large goat brush because I find that it has more resistance. I absolutely love the Tom Ford bronzer brush for this product, which is what I use to apply it all over the face today. If you don't have a lot of brushes or you don't want to invest in a brush specifically to use with a powder, I highly recommend the pearls because you can use all sorts of brushes and they'll still work fine. I like to use Wayne Goss brushes with my Meteorites because it picks up the right amount of product. The brushes are smaller, so you can place them gently along certain parts of the face if you don't want too much coverage. Now for my favorite 2 powders from this top 5. As many of you may have seen if you check my description boxes often, these 2 are the powders that I wear the most, and they're both by Burberry. So when Wendy Rowe came in and redid the entire Burberry makeup range, I feel like she just knocked it out of the park with the powders. Because she's British and British beauty focuses mostly on really effortless, gorgeous, real skin effect, I feel like the Burberry powders are the the most undetectable on the skin. They wear well on all different skin types. Whatever coverage you like, whatever concerns you may have, these two powders are just suitable for everybody. So I'll start with the one that I tend to wear more often, which is the Ochre Nude Fresh Glow Compact. This is a powder foundation unlike any other. It's not heavy, it's not cakey, it's not dry or powdery, and I tend to use this one only on areas where I really need to wear powder because it is slightly heavier in coverage. After all, it is a powder foundation and not a pressed powder. I've hit pan and I've used almost all of it, and that just goes to show how much I love it. I like to take this powder along the smile lines, on my nose, between my eyes, and a little bit along the hairline depending on what kind of formula I'm wearing, because I don't like my hair, my baby hairs, to stick to my face. If you only have the budget for one powder product, I highly recommend you make it this one. I just feel that because there's no shimmer in it, it's not too matte, but it's very creamy. It has a perfect texture. Beyond that, I found a perfect color match in number 12 Ochre Nude. It is just the absolute perfect match for my skin, whether I use it on top of liquid foundation or on its own. So yes, that means this powder doesn't oxidize, which is very, very rare in a powder foundation. Then we have the Burberry Nude Powder. This is the Sheer Luminous Pressed Powder. I use the shade Porcelain number 11. This one is a touch less yellow than the Ochre Nude, but it still looks gorgeous and undetectable on my skin. There is shimmer in this one as opposed to the Burberry Fresh Glow Compact, which does not have any shimmer whatsoever. This pressed powder has a baked formula that's unlike any other that I've ever tried. It's not as powdery as the Hourglass powders, and although it provides a little more coverage than the average pressed powder, it just makes the skin look really smooth and not dry whatsoever. It also has a little bit less shimmer than the Guerlain Meteorites pressed. So this one will not double up as a highlighter. It is strictly a pressed powder, but I think that this is phenomenal for everyday use. If you don't like to use a powder foundation, then definitely give this one a try. The trick to falling in love with this Burberry powder, however, all comes down to the brush you use it with. And it actually took me a few tries before I found the right fit. Because this powder has such a unique baked texture, it doesn't pick up too much product, which is a good thing if you have a heavy hand. But the other problem is that you have to be able to pick it up in order to put it on your face. So after some trial and error, I discovered that the Takumi brush by Chikuhodo, which I mentioned earlier, the T2 works really well with this particular powder. Instead of swirling it or dabbing it, you have to use upward motions and press up. So now you can see it loosening up the dust. In a nutshell, this is how you pick up the powder. So in case you bought this product and didn't like it or didn't know how to use it, now you know. I absolutely love both of them. It just depends on if I'm looking for a little bit of shimmer, where I'm going to apply it, and how much coverage I need that day. Last but not least, to round out my top 5 is the newly reformulated Armani Luminous Silk Powder. It used to come in really itty-bitty packaging, not much bigger than your average blush. So when I saw the new compact, it has a black top and a translucent bottom. I was really impressed, so I think Armani did a good job with the repackaging. Now the formula is also better because it's more undetectable on dry skin. I do think that this is best for normal to even combination skin, but it doesn't sit in my fine lines, even on my normal to dry complexion. So I think that this powder is gorgeous. It's just a matter of finding the right color. Although I'm currently using a 4 in this powder because it oxidizes, because it's already naturally a little dark on my face. If I wear it alone on top of my sunscreen, 4 is a great fit. But if I put it on top of any liquid foundation, then it turns darker. It oxidizes almost immediately. So if I want to use it to set, I'm definitely going to have to purchase number 3. But for now, I really love it. I think just a dusting of it with a super loose, fluffy brush like my Chikuhodo GSN1, which is one of my favorite powder brushes of all time, is a really good way to apply it. If I want really light coverage, I'll go ahead and reach for one of my MK brushes by Chikuhodo. This is the MK1, I believe. And it has super soft bristles, so if you have dry skin, this combination will be perfect for you because it doesn't create too much coverage, and more importantly, it just makes the powder look more even on the skin. And just to wrap this video up, I'm going to give you a quick recap. For Guerlain, I love both pressed and loose versions. You don't need both unless you travel a lot, because I do think that the pressed version is a lot more portable. Both of them can be used all over the face or as highlighters. Now, as far as the Burberry powders go, I think that the Fresh Glow Compact edges out the nude powder in terms of versatility and obviously coverage, but the bottom line is it's almost impossible to find a powder foundation that's not excessively powdery but still gives you coverage, so I highly recommend the Fresh Glow Compact. If you like the look of the Guerlain powders but you think it's too much shimmer all over the face, then I highly recommend you try the Burberry Nude Compact. The Armani powder foundation is the most traditional take out of the 5 shown here today, but I still think that it's a great all-around powder. I also love every single powder brush I shared with you today, but my favorite 2, the ones that I can use with any powder in my collection, are these 2 by Chikuhodo. These are the Takumi collection in T2 and T1. And that's the wrap for my top 5 powders. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and if you'd like some more recommendations, and if you'd like more recommendations, more options for you to try, again, please swing by my blog, thereviewer.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.